The one teacher, and this is kind of neat. I'll end with this because this is a positive note. So, verse 28 of chapter 12. One of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noting that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, of all the commandment, which is the most important? Okay, so now here's a teacher of the law, and he's listening to the debate, and he's like, well, Jesus is doing pretty good on his answers and stuff. You know what? I think I'm going to ask him about this. Which is the greatest one? Verse 29, the most important one, answered Jesus, is to hear, O Israel, the Lord to God. The Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Interesting, because the guy asked him the one commandment, Jesus gave him two. And he gave him the most important commandment, loving God, right? But then he took him deeper. He took him into the kingdom of God. He took him into the depths of where God was going with this. And he's like, you love your neighbor as yourself. Because that's the depths. That's the depth of the commandments. That's the depth of what God is teaching. That's the depth of who God is. You love God, you love your neighbor as yourself. That's it. And in verse 32, well said, teacher, the man replied, you are right in saying that God is one, and there is no other but him. To love him with all your heart, and with all your understanding, and with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is more important than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. Now look at this, verse 34. When Jesus saw that he had answered wisely, he said to him, you are not far from the kingdom of God. And from then on, no one dared ask him any more questions. Here's a teacher of the law. Here's one that knows the law, right? I mean, he's an expert in the law. He hears Jesus debating. He's like, oh, he's doing a pretty good job. Let me ask him this. Jesus takes him to the commandment, takes him deeper to love your neighbor as yourself. And the guy says, yeah, that's it. You love God, you love your neighbor as yourself. That's more important than sacrifices. He's getting it. And Jesus says, you're not far from the kingdom of God. You're right there. You're right there. And no one dares ask him any questions after that. If they ask him more questions, you know what? They might even step into the kingdom of God. But we don't want that. We step into the kingdom of God, our lives can change. We step into the kingdom of God, we're not going to be able to do the same things we were doing. We're not going to say the same things we were saying. We're not going to have the same friends we had. Our lives are going to be different. Our traditions are going to be different. Our practices are going to be different. Our ideas are going to be different. Our thoughts are going to be different. Our relationships are going to be different. The kingdom of God, oh no. Because if we step into the kingdom of God, we're going to start loving God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then we're going to start loving our neighbor as ourselves. And that means I'm going to have to take time out of my day and care about my neighbor. And I just don't have time for that. I'm going to have to help someone that needs help, and I'm too busy. I may have to give to someone that has a need, and I got my own needs I don't feel like giving to anybody else. Kingdom of God, who needs that? Let's not ask Jesus any more questions. He might tell us more about the kingdom of God.